Welcome agents, today I wanted to talk about some recent news from community manager Anthony, who stated in a live stream there are no plans for survival to be added into the Division 2, despite the overwhelming support for this mode to be added. I'm also going to look at crossplay potentially coming to the Division 2 in the near future, after CEO of Ubisoft reveals this is already underway across a library of their games, and we're also going to look at this week's vendor reset. If you enjoy this one, please hit the like button below, subscribe for dedicated Division 2 content, and let's begin. Alright, so to start off with, some time ago, I put out a vote here on YouTube along with Twitter, asking you guys what legacy mode you'd want to see return in the Division 2. Now for me personally, it was Resistance, but there's a lot of feedback, Underground, blah 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 blah, but essentially Survival was the overwhelming majority on both platforms, that's YouTube and Twitter, and that just kind of reinforced what I'd already thought since the game launched, and that's this game is missing survival, okay? And it's the one mode that I think the majority of the community wants to come back in the Division 2. Now Ubisoft nor the developers have never come out and actually said it was coming back, but Julian Garrity has talked about wanting this mode to return on multiple occasions since launch. So there's kind of been that speculation going around that, is it coming, isn't it coming? So what's happened? Well, not a lot really, except community manager Anthony was streaming on Twitch the other day and categorically said there are no plans for survival. Now, you could watch this and say maybe this is a red herring, of course, a way for the developers not to give anything away too soon. But then surely he would have probably just ignored the text in chat. I imagine he probably gets that often in chat. Maybe he just got annoyed with it. I'm not totally sure. But what I do know is the conviction Anthony has with his answer. It kind of makes me believe him. And that's a little bit disappointing. I'm going to play the clip for you here and you can decide for yourself.
Come here, buddy. Thank you. Guys, there's no plans for survival for the Division 2. That wasn't confirmed. That's not something that was said. Survival still exists in the first game, so you can absolutely play survival if you'd like. But there are no plans to include it in the second game.
So I'm going to try and stay as positive as possible here because, there's a whole lot of negativity going around and I'm part of that as well. But my question here is, and I appreciate the developers, they have a plan laid out. And if survival is not included in that plan, of course, it's going to be a lot of hard work. But why wouldn't the developers listen to what the community wants, for a change, like a fun, fast-paced PvP game mode instead of team elimination? Now, just like the Division 2, it does have all of the components to make survival work. Instead of the cold, you've got the heat, and you've got the DC 62 as well. Now, how many of you have actually been out in the world when the sandstorm comes through? It's actually just a really awesome world-changing event, and I just think it would be the perfect fit for a survival type mode. Now, you'd have a helicopter crash, in a sandstorm, because it's a Ubisoft game, and helicopters traditionally have to crash in Ubisoft games. We have the Division 1 with a crash in survival, we just had Ghost Recon, so you crash in a helicopter because you have to, and then you'd have to battle the sandstorm, you'd have to battle the heat, possibly DC 62 radiation, and then you could have an antiviral situation because we've just recently had the update where it was talking about antivirals, so you could have that where you have to, it would follow the same premise as the first one where you'd have to try and survive and get out of there. That's what survival's all about, and it does have all of the key components, and it would be awesome. But I guess if the developers have a better mode in the pipeline that could replace survival or any other great modes from the Division that are kind of coming back, then I'm all for all that. But I suspect they're going to come as part of some paid DLC for Year 2 and Year 3. Now, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As always, I'm pretty confident that we're just going to get some really good stuff in Year 2 and Year 3. Replayable content, just like we did with the Division. And I'm okay if survival is not a part of that, but we do need a very good replacement, if not. And I just think that the overwhelming majority of this community want survival. If you look on any vote of anything where people are saying, what mode would you like to see back, and you ask anyone what they want, and it's survival. That's the majority. I would say 60+% say survival for very good reason, and it's because it's awesome. So please, can we have it back? All right, so moving on, and what would you say to crossplay in the Division 2? I, for one, have friends and content creators who I'd love to play with, but they're on PC, they're on a different console to me, so the thought of crossplay coming to Division 2, at least for me, is huge. And honestly, it would change my experience with this game. It would allow me to play with people I've never been able to play with before, and it really would just, it would be bridges, it would be Kojima bridges. That's what we'd get. We get Kojima bridges in the Division 2, and that's got to be awesome. Well, it might just happen. Now, Ubisoft CEO addressed the topic of crossplay in the recent Ubisoft Q2 earnings call. Here he said the feature is well underway, suggesting it could just be around the corner. Now, this is what he actually had to say. Our goal is to put crossplay on all the PvP games that we have at this time. Now, undoubtedly, the first games that pop to mind, they're not the Division 2, right? You got Rainbow Six Siege and you got other sort of dedicated PvP games from Ubisoft. But the Division 2 does have PvP. And I think the game would actually highly benefit from this feature moving forward. Now, I'm not so sure if Xbox to PC would be a good idea, right? Just because of the third-person type view and the aim assist, and I just think PC players would wreck console players for the most part. But I think something like Xbox to PS4 or something along those lines that would be really, really good. And I do think it's only a matter of time before this feature is implemented. And I've got to admit, I'm very excited for this. I read the article about this and I was like, yes, we've got to get this in the Division 2. We've been asking for this since the Division 1. And it would divide what is, at this moment in time, a fairly small audience, let's be honest. It would take that audience that's divided currently and bring them together. And, you know, Hideo Kojima would get exactly what he wants, and that is bridges. So yeah, please can we have this feature as well. Last but not least, it's been some time since I covered the vendor reset, but with, you know, very little news currently and with a lot more builds kind of being made right now because of the update, I think it's actually probably a good idea I start covering it more often. So let's go over the best pickups from today's vendor reset. Now, unlike the traditional videos covering the vendor resets, even my own traditional videos covering vendor resets, I'm going to be showing you the best pickups by looking at Ruben Alamino's website instead of actually in the game. And I think just because, yeah, I just think it looks cleaner. So let's start with the gear. Now, at Cassie Mendoza this week, we've got the named Percussive Maintenance Alp Summit Backpack, which has 8.5% crit chance, 20% skill haste, perfect tech support, hard hitting, and 2 utility slots. This is a named Alp Summit backpack. The attribute roll isn't particularly good here. You know, with 8.5% crit chance and fairly low skill haste, it's not overly great here. But tech support is still good. I know it's not in the meta currently, but it's still very much viable. And it's a named item, so it's got to be worth snagging, especially if you're the sort of person who is trying to get as many named items as possible. I, for one, am still trying to do that, although I am slacking, I'll be honest. Cassie also has a nice health roll on this Arioda Holdings holster, which I think is worth picking up as well. It's quite high. I'll certainly be picking this up. If you need health on a holster, then this is worth it for infusion, essentially. Now, weapon-wise, there's the named Model 700 Akim's Longstip with perfect ranger. Now, this is a purchase of the week, in my opinion, because this is such a good weapon. Perfect ranger is a really strong perfect talent, and obviously it complements the Model 700 very well. Model 700 being probably still the best. I think it's still the hardest hitting sniper outside of Nemesis. So this is the sort of weapon that you hit someone on the head and they're down, you know, if you build properly around it. So this is a perfect named weapon, and you definitely want to be picking this up. Now onto the clan vendor, and we've got a true Patriot holster with 3% crit chance, 12% crit damage, and 2 offensive mod slots. This is a very good holster if you're going for some sort of crit chance, crit damage build. Something like the rifle build that I put out recently and I've been, you know, using, that would benefit highly from this, because that is based around crit chance and crit damage. Now the crit chance is low, of course, but you'd obviously just roll it and make it a lot higher. And obviously with 2 offensive slots, then you could put on 5% of whatever you are. So for me, I put on 2 5% rifle offensive mod slots to give me an extra 10% rifle damage. This is a really good holster. There's also a true Patriot backpack with a good health roll of 33,000. That's probably worth getting if you need some health on your backpack. I personally, again, I have a good backpack, but it doesn't have a very high health roll, and I think this would be perfect for that. So if you need some health in your backpack, this is worth picking up for that infusion. And that's pretty much it for gear. Mods wise, there's a 4% assault rifle damage mod at the White House vendor, and that's really about it. So yeah, there we go for the vendor reset. Aside from that, agents, there really is nothing else to cover today, and we have State of the Game on Wednesday, which I'm hoping will focus on more of what's to come rather than looking sort of in-depth look at systems within the game like the last State of the Game with the AI mechanics and tuning. Now I'm hoping to hear how they plan to improve the PvP experience, although right now, because there's just so many cheesy builds, it's actually quite fun to be part of the madness, because that's what you want really. You want a bit of madness, you want every cheesy build there is, just because then it's quite fun in many ways. I suspect episode 3 isn't going to be released until January time now, but it would be good if we could get some sort of new tidbits of information on Wednesday, just something very small, you know, just to whet the palate, just to get us excited, because it feels like forever since we had anything exciting to talk about, and I think we just need some as a community to look forward to. So this would be the opportune moment for the devs to come out and say, look, this is coming, and here's a little bit of information that you guys will be happy about. I'd be happy with that. Alright, so that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks very much for watching. If you stuck around to the end and you're hearing me now, then it really does help me out a lot. Tomorrow I'll be covering State of the Game, so make sure you got your notifications turned on. And I really appreciate all of your support. Until the next one, guys, epic out.